In the small town of Hollowsville, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there was an annual tradition that brought joy and excitement to its residents, the Harvest Festival. Every October, the townsfolk would gather at the outskirts to celebrate the bounty of the season, with the centerpiece being the sprawling pumpkin patch that seemed to stretch endlessly. The pumpkin patch was renowned for its vibrant orange hues, its rows of plump pumpkins, and the intoxicating aroma of autumn that hung in the air. However, this year was different. As the townspeople prepared for the festival, rumors began to circulate about strange occurrences in the pumpkin patch. Late at night, whispers echoed through the town about shadows moving among the pumpkins and eerie glowing lights flickering like fireflies in the distance. The once joyous anticipation now transformed into a sense of unease. But the allure of tradition and the promise of a spectacular harvest festival overshadowed the growing sense of dread. As the first day of the festival arrived, families from all over Hollowsville gathered in excitement, the laughter of children and the chatter of adults filling the air. The pumpkin patch stood at the center, its vines spreading like a web beneath the pumpkins. Unbeknownst to the townspeople, something ominous lurked beneath the soil. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the moon cast an eerie glow over the pumpkin patch, the first signs of the horrifying truth emerged. The pumpkins began to shudder, their round bodies quivering as if possessed by an unseen force. Slowly, one by one, the pumpkins split open, revealing grotesque creatures with pumpkin heads and writhing vines in place of organs. The townspeople gasped in horror as the pumpkin-headed creatures emerged, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The vines that replaced their organs moved with a sinister intelligence, slithering and reaching out as if searching for something. The once cheerful festival turned into a chaotic scene of panic and terror. The pumpkin-headed creatures, with their haunting visages and relentless vines, began to pursue the terrified townspeople. Panic spread like wildfire as the once festive atmosphere devolved into a nightmarish battleground. Desperate screams echoed through the air as the townspeople ran for their lives, their footsteps drowned out by the unnatural rustling of the vines. The town square became a battlefield between the living and the pumpkin-headed monstrosities. Some brave souls attempted to fight back, wielding whatever makeshift weapons they could find, but the vines proved resilient and relentless. The creatures seemed impervious to harm, and fear gripped the hearts of those who realized there was no escape. As the night wore on, the once vibrant harvest festival became a graveyard of shattered traditions and broken dreams. The pumpkin-headed creatures, driven by an unknown malevolence, continued their relentless pursuit, leaving behind a town in ruins and a community forever scarred by the night the pumpkin patch came to life. The once beloved symbol of autumn had become a harbinger of unspeakable horror, and the survivors would forever carry the memories of that fateful night in the depths of their nightmares. In the midst of the chaos, a small group of survivors managed to find refuge in an old, abandoned farmhouse at the edge of town. Huddled together in fear, they could hear the haunting whispers of the wind outside, the distant cries of the pumpkin-headed creatures mingling with the anguished sobs of their fellow townspeople. As they caught their breath, the survivors exchanged bewildered glances, trying to comprehend the unimaginable horror that had befallen their once idyllic town. Among them was Emma, a young woman with fiery determination in her eyes. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to the pumpkin-headed creatures, something beyond the supernatural. Emma recalled stories her grandmother had told her about ancient rituals performed by the town's founding settlers. Legend spoke of a forbidden pact made with nature itself, a dark secret hidden beneath the layers of time. With a spark of courage, Emma suggested that the answers to the nightmare might lie in the town's history. Determined to unravel the mystery and put an end to the terror that had befallen their home, the group ventured into the town's archives, hidden away in the basement of the old library. The air was thick with dust, and the dim light flickered as they combed through ancient documents and manuscripts. As they delved deeper into the archives, Emma stumbled upon a weathered journal that belonged to one of the town's founding families. The entry spoke of a forbidden ritual performed every century to ensure bountiful harvests. The ritual involved offering the pumpkins as vessels to appease a malevolent force that dwelled beneath the earth, a force hungry for the life force of the townspeople. Realization struck Emma like a lightning bolt. The pumpkin-headed creatures were the manifestation of this dark entity, seeking to reclaim the life force that had been offered to it through the cursed ritual. The vines that replaced their organs were the conduit through which the malevolent force drained the essence of the living. With newfound knowledge, the survivors devised a plan to disrupt the ancient ritual and sever the connection between the pumpkin-headed creatures and the malevolent force. Armed with a combination of folklore, ancient symbols, and a few relics from the town's history, they returned to the now desolate town square. The pumpkin-headed creatures, still relentless in their pursuit, sensed the approaching group. As they closed in, the survivors began to chant ancient incantations, drawing symbols in the air with the relics they carried. A bluish light enveloped the symbols, creating a protective barrier that repelled the vines and halted the advance of the pumpkin-headed creatures. Emma, fueled by determination, stepped forward and recited the final incantation. The ground trembled as the malevolent force beneath the pumpkin patch roared in defiance. The pumpkin-headed creatures convulsed, their glowing eyes flickering with confusion and pain. As the ritual reached its climax, the survivors witnessed a surge of energy that shot into the sky, dissipating the malevolent force that had plagued their town for centuries. The pumpkin-headed creatures collapsed to the ground, their pumpkin heads withering away, leaving behind lifeless husks. The town, once shrouded in darkness, was now bathed in the soft light of dawn. The survivors, exhausted and emotionally drained, looked at each other with a mix of relief and grief for those lost during the night of terror. The pumpkin patch, now still and lifeless, stood as a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded. In the aftermath, the survivors worked together to rebuild their shattered community. The once vibrant harvest festival was forever changed, its innocence replaced by the haunting memories of that fateful night. As the years passed, the townspeople kept a vigilant eye on the pumpkin patch, ensuring that the malevolent force remained dormant, buried beneath the earth. The tale of the pumpkin-headed creatures became a cautionary legend, passed down through generations. The once thriving town of Hollowsville learned to live with the shadows of its past, forever mindful of the thin veil between the natural and the supernatural and the consequences of tampering with forces beyond human understanding. As the seasons changed, Hollowsville slowly healed from the scars of that harrowing night. The townspeople, though forever changed, found solace in unity and resilience. The pumpkin patch, once a source of terror, became a symbol of their strength and the unwavering spirit that held their community together. The Harvest Festival, while transformed by the shadows of the past, continued to be a celebration of life and the resilience of the human spirit. However, the townspeople now approached the festivities with a newfound reverence, always mindful of the delicate balance between tradition and the unknown forces that lurked beneath the surface. Emma, hailed as a heroine by her fellow townspeople, took it upon herself to preserve the knowledge of that dreadful night. She became the keeper of the town's history, ensuring that the forbidden rituals of the past would never be repeated. The ancient journal and relics were carefully preserved in a hidden chamber beneath the town's library, a reminder of the darkness that once threatened to consume them all. Years passed, and the once devastated town of Hollowsville flourished once again. Families thrived, children played freely in the streets, and the whispers of the pumpkin-headed creatures became distant echoes in the collective memory of the town. Yet, on the outskirts of town, the pumpkin patch lay dormant, its rows of pumpkins casting long shadows as the sun dipped below the horizon. The townspeople, now aware of the fragile equilibrium they maintained, remained vigilant, ensuring that the malevolent force remained bound beneath the earth. As the autumn winds rustled through the vines and the moon cast its gentle glow over the pumpkin patch, some claimed to hear faint whispers carried by the breeze. Others dismissed it as the imagination playing tricks, but there were those who knew better, a reminder that the line between the natural and the supernatural was thin, and the town of Hollowsville would forever bear the scars of the night the pumpkin patch came to life. And so, the story of Hollowsville became a cautionary tale passed down through the generations, a testament to the resilience of a community that faced unspeakable horrors and emerged stronger. As the years rolled on, the tale of the pumpkin-headed creatures faded into folklore, a chilling reminder that some secrets were better left undisturbed, buried deep within the roots of the town that refused to be consumed by the darkness that once threatened to engulf it.
Like, subscribe, and click on notifications that will allow you to stay up to date with the news and not miss videos from the channel, where there will be many more horror stories.